Music shouldn't be acceptable, and art shouldn't be. Art should be like, it should be aggressive, and it should be intelligent, and it should be interesting, and it should cause a stir of your emotions, you know? If it doesn't, then what's the point?
The kind of waves I've always been interested in are like heavy waves, waves of consequence.
I think life is a little too short to be pretending. Everything I do in my life, once I set myself a goal or somewhere that I want to reach, you know, I'm gonna make everything possible to get there. It's the end of the season, and I got the chance to come here to Greenland. And I was expecting to come to another snowy mountains area where basically those mountains would be looking like they could be looking somewhere else in the world. And it's been really shocking myself. When I was in the plane, we were like going across the ice cap and everything was really flat and kind of windblown, and the terrain had really nothing special, and suddenly we got closer to here, closer to the coast, and we got into these fjords that were surrounded by these huge peaks with like really long lines all over the place and like really snowy conditions. And it was definitely not what I expected, and it's been amazing to feel right away that this was one hell of a powerful place. There's something about here, you know, it's one of these places in the world where you just see the eyes of the people, you just see the way they live, you just see, you know, the way rocks are shaped, you just see the light, you just see the wilderness and the nature around you, and everything is just powerful and strong, and it's beautiful.
Just come out of one hell of a winter in Ireland, and I'm spending most of my time with Tom and Fergal in the water.
We had a really good winter in Ireland. It wasn't like good from the word go. We had a really like stormy start and everything, but it ended up being amazing.
Just like groundbreaking for us, and it was amazing to be part of that. Since then, We kind of been planning to, at some point this summer, to go to Tahiti, and that was in the back of the mind all the way through the winter and leading into the summer.
Everything they've been working towards doing is about coming here pretty much to kind of cut their teeth and I guess just test themselves here and learn everything they can from the place.
We've been talking about it for years, like since the very first time I met Mickey, he'd just come back from here. He was like, I gotta bring you out there next year, and that's been like 3 or 4 years ago, so it's always been on the cards.
Well, I've been travelling for a few years looking for heavy waves around the world, and I kept seeing this wave in magazines every now and then. This kind of had a hell of a lot of mystery about it, and it must have been 1999 or 2000 or something. I came here for the first time with two of my best friends from Cornwall. We didn't know where we were going. All I knew really was the name I'd seen in the magazines, and it was like Teahupoo. So I was saying Teahupoo, and we went outside and started hitching, and every car that stopped I was just saying Teahupoo, Teahupoo, like that, and they were just laughing at me like, you don't know what you're talking about. And like a few cars just left us because we just didn't know what we were saying, and then this guy stopped and he just went, Chopo, Chopo.
The name Teahupoo actually comes from a long time ago. The village of Teahupoo had a big fight with the village of Papara, which is just up the coast, and the warriors of Teahupoo won, and they built a wall of skulls at the entrance of the village, and Teahupoo means actually wall of skulls. Back then they figured that by building this wall it would protect them from any other invaders, I guess.
All the way around that fucking tent! Move! I went around way down the right track, and my walked down, took me back to my beginning to the fucking start. I saw it, and it broke my heart. Well, I guess we're friends, I need. And I'm the grinding under 12 months. Man, I feel like a fucking cat. This man has got money. If I'm not with skull, would you let me live? Well, I guess we're friends, I need. You're fucking dead to me. Last year I found myself short. Balance of my head, nothing but noise. This year I'm a fucking new man. Saving to count and a fucking plan. Thank you.
I guess the tour's starting to grind people down a bit. We're on here for so long. I think we're about halfway through it, and we've been out 5 weeks. Got another 5 to go or something before we get to California and finish up. So I don't know. Everyone's starting to be a bit tired and frayed.
London town. And we're very fucking happy to be back in Chicago. What's going on, Detroit? Alright, what's going on with Gallows from London town? We're Gallows from London town. Thanks very much for joining us.
Living in each other's pockets can sometimes be quite a hard thing to do, but I think that kind of makes us what we are on stage as well, because these 5 people come together and we all are a bit different, you know.
The 5 of us together, we work really well, as long as we're hating each other's guts, I guess.
Gallows is very raw, very energetic. It's 5 individuals, like, all rubbing up against each other, creating music, and that's what gives it that edge and that spark, maybe.
That's it. You can all get fucked. I hate all of you. Every single one of you. I hate you. Oh man. It's gonna be a long 4 weeks, boys. It's what they call the rise and the fall. And this part's the fall. This one is going out to all the Christians, all the Catholics, all the Muslims and all the Mormons. Whatever your spiritual belief, when you die, your body is gonna rot in the fucking ground, that's a fact. Oh yeah, yeah, now, you're all gonna burn it up. You have now, demon features, I'm running, I'm a dead. If you have control, I'm just a different I will go. They have seen all I don't drink the wine, and I can't stop it alive. Everybody's sleeping now. I don't drink the wine, and I can't stop it alive. And I will take it down. Forget yourself, you're all gonna burn it out. You have no redeeming feature. If you're at good dog, show me just a different they will go. They have seen horror. I don't drink the wine, but I can't stop it alive. I don't drink the wine, but I can't stop it. A million Hail Marys, what I'm saving now.
I don't think any bands fight anymore. Like, I don't think any of them really care enough to like walk out and bloody themselves up. We play like our lives depend on it just for that 30 minutes.
I don't drink the wine, and I can't stop it alive. I don't drink the wine, and I can't stop it alive. Now everyone's taking that. Why do your churches?
It's unbelievable and always hard to realize how many years of doing it, of spending time in the mountains, like walking around, like feeling that snow, walking around on some ridges, like reading the snow, reading the faces, being able to check one face, like stand in front of it and like picture a line and write it. It takes years and years and doesn't happen from one day to the other. In the last 15 years, I've been really going through all stages of snowboarding. I used to ride alpine back in the days, and like I've been riding freestyle, and then I got into bordercross, and then I got into freeriding also at the same time. And I think the fact of having been, you know, gathering like so many different experiences, and plus the fact also of, you know, being rock climbing in the summer and spending time in the mountains. So I start to feel comfortable, and I think these whole things allow me to feel really comfortable when I'm on my board, when I'm in some lines. And I think, yeah, I can ride really fast. I think it's my way of feeling safe in the way I ride. Like everything becomes much easier when you ride fast like this. I think that's kind of my trademark. The intensity we feel up there is one thing, of course. It's really hard to be up there, but usually when you get up and you start riding, you feel good. Like the time when I guess I can be the more anxious is the time when I'm the most away from being up there. Yeah, I guess the best remedy is kind of to go up there and do it. It's crazy.
The first time I came to Teahupoo was in '96. First time I saw the wave, I kind of knew it was something special. It's kind of got a hypnotic power, you know. For me, it's just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You know?
From all the photos I'd seen, I just knew that I had to come here personally. It seemed like the biggest challenge there was at that point in time, because back then a lot of heavy waves weren't really being pioneered, and Teahupoo is the place that changed all of that.
It kind of all started in '97 when one of the first surfing contests, they got great conditions, and the photos just went worldwide everywhere in all the magazines, and all the professional surfers on the WCT tour saw the photos and said, we need to compete on this wave. This is the best wave in the world. Since then, it's just been the proving ground. Everybody needs to go to Teahupoo and prove themselves.
I suppose the main challenge over here is the size of it, because most waves wouldn't be able to handle massive swells. You get to a certain point and then it's just like game over, you can't surf anymore. But here, it's such a perfect corner of reef. it's just so like mechanical and like man-made nearly perfectly that it can handle almost any size. So it's just the size factor and the amount of water that gets pushed across the reef is the biggest challenge, I suppose, trying to deal with all that and try and get your head around it.
The way that Teahupoo comes in from deep water into shallow water so fast, and with so much mass of water in the lips, it breaks really fast, like really ferocious, and it's really challenging to surf because you've got to try and generate enough speed to get down that wave before it barrels.
It's kind of like the biggest, hollowest, cleanest, most perfect big barrel you can kind of find. So it's kind of what everyone strives to find in their own backyard, but nowhere really matches it yet.
In a lot of ways, it's the complete opposite of Ireland. There's huge contrast, like obviously for a start it's warm. You're not wearing like 5-6 mils of neoprene around your whole body. And like while that might seem like a lovely place to be, nice warm sunny tropical island, when it comes to like surfing heavy waves, the reef's full of razor sharp coral and you're just wearing a pair of board shorts. And you haven't got like 6 mils of neoprene to protect your body every time you hit rock or hit the bottom, or everything becomes a hell of a lot more dangerous, I guess. And so that's the most obvious kind of contrast for me. But in every other way, the extremes of this place are like really similar to the extremes of Ireland.
It's not all paradise. It can also be hell out there if you're caught inside, if you fall at the wrong place. And it's really a wave that doesn't allow any mistake when it's over 12 to 15 feet. It's one of the most dangerous waves in the world.
This place in particular has a history of doing serious harm to people, or even like killing great surfers. It's not like it's a walk in the park, Pretty serious for the guys trying to surf it.
I think me and Tom would quite happily say that we're shitting ourselves over here.
I can freak myself out like quite often, like overthinking, overanalyzing, and the fear factor is there when you're out in the water all the time, really, when it's big, and when the big sets are coming in, and say you're on the inside and you're going to get one in the head, you're shitting yourself. There's nothing else about it. You're cacking it, and you've got to just think fast and hopefully pop up the other end.
That's, as part of it, you need that kind of in your headspace, because you're always constantly asking yourself questions. Have you got this ready? Do you feel confident about this board? Are these the right fins for that board? So many things you keep asking yourself, and I think it's the little fear that keeps you kind of, on your toes about all that stuff.
I think you have to be scared to have that edge out in the water, to be all your senses turn on, and you do things that is humanly not possible at times, and that's what fear brings.
As soon as we arrived, everything felt pretty good, and we started to find a little rhythm and start picking our sessions, and it's just like I remember Tahiti being just totally unbelievably beautiful and just really good times with your friends.
when you're coming into this industry, trying your hardest to do something that's like credible. When you start to like get the ball rolling, you start realising that the music industry is a pile of shit.
When we started the band, like we'd always, me and Laurent just wanted to start the band as like a direct contrast to all the music that was around.
Me and Frank were basically just trying to start a band that would be different to all the bands in our area, like not just a punk rock band, but a band that, you know, had something to say. We're like a great live band, like a great music band, and just different.
So much was coming in like wave after wave of terrible music, you know, which had like, I couldn't conceive how they were creating music and they could have any real belief in it.
This fucking feedback is still better than half the fucking shit music you're gonna have to listen to today.
A lot of bands they just try and copy other bands, and no one wants to be the next so-and-so, do you know what I mean? We want to be Gallows, and other bands going to be the next Gallows and things like that.
You know, set off this incendiary bomb wherever we go, and then walk away and let them pick up the pieces and see if they're still fulfilled by music that's coming out, and the bands that are no doubt going to follow us and try and follow in our footsteps. I don't think anybody's really got the shoes or the balls to fill that.
If you look at bands like Black Flag, Minor Threat, they didn't really realise what they had or how important their music was at the time. Like, they didn't realise it until they're 20 years dead now. So it's like, I don't know whether my band's going to be in the same vein. You know, are people in 20 years' time going to look back and be like, oh, you know, Gallows were really important for what they were doing at the time because the music industry was so stale that everything that was coming out was just a run-off of something else. You know, a band gets famous, a record label then signs 20 bands that sound exactly the same as that band to try and keep bringing the income in, but what's the point?
There's a lot of like pop bands on the tour, a lot of bands that say they're punk rock, and they're the furthest thing from it you could possibly imagine. So it's difficult sometimes to kind of bond with the other bands on the tour sometimes, because if you don't really have a lot of respect for their artistic integrity, it's hard sometimes to get past that. And 'cause a lot of them are, I guess, nice guys, but it can be a barrier sometimes when you don't really respect their reasons for being on the same tour that we're on.
You know, it's all Dayglow. It's very like safety rock, very easy. I mean, it's more easy listening than the easily listening genre. You know, like it's very acceptable, and that's not right to me. Music shouldn't be acceptable, and art shouldn't be. Art should be like, it should be aggressive, and it should be intelligent, and it should be interesting, and it should cause a stir of your emotions, you know? If it doesn't, then what's the fucking point?
Alright, this one is for all the fucking hardcore kids! Ah! Let me see you fucking move! Misery fucking left me, and I love her song. She's the golden bright of no escape when I'm left alone. Misery fucking loves me, and I love her too. She's the dying breath of nothing left, and I've become accustomed to. There is nothing left for me. I wanna kill myself, desperately. Black cloud, that's why I'm weight of the world. I have nothing to offer anyone but others coming attack. Misery is my only friend. She is a cold fucking snap. you fucking move.
When we get to a spot, we find a nice location. It's really interesting that, like, the whole mind game that you have to enter, and you start to have all these movies going through your head. And that's actually when you're the most scared, because you start to put all these bad scenarios in your head and kind of tend towards the bad sides and like towards more the risks. Because it's crazy, but mountain tricks you all the time. It's unbelievable, like in terms of everything, conditions, size, weather. Mountain is really unpredictable. Even the most experienced guys, they get tricked, and I think that's the first and biggest lesson that anyone should have. Once you get up there, it's quite impressive at the beginning. You try to analyze everything, so you start to put all together like what you possibly could do, what you couldn't, try to find an aesthetic line which is technically possible, so you kind of start to see all the jumps, all the wind lips, all the actions you could be doing. Try to analyze the size of each rock, each little patch of snow. But at the same time, you kind of have to be emotional, you know, if you want to do something aesthetic, if you want to, you know, kind of be one together with your line and with the mountain and like respect the whole thing, you've got to be open. If you've got those two parts of the brain, like the emotional side and the rational side, you really have to use both. But at the same time, you don't want to have one that's gonna overcome the other. But you need to reach that point where like you've got all you need and you've got to decide, okay, now it's time to go. And you start going, and it's incredible how these first 2-3 turns welcome you in the line. It's like you start dropping, you're waiting for things to happen, first, second turn, and you enter a new world, like a new universe. It's crazy. Everything just works by itself. You know, it's all there. It's all the work that you've been doing before that just has condensed in your head, that has worked, and you reach that mental level where you don't think anymore. It's a really, really special state of mind, and I guess you need to push yourself that hard to feel those beautiful moments. It's quite unbelievable. It's like so powerful. It's like, you know, you don't control anything anymore, but at the same time, everything happens the way it should happen. The more time I spend in the mountains, the more I realize that you really have to be linked to them. That you cannot just go up and ignore what's around you. Just take those mountains as just a physical pile of rocks. Like there's definitely a soul in them, and there's definitely something that you have to respect and that you have to admire. I'm really convinced that the mountains, they really give you something, you know. It's not just a pile of rock with a little bit of snow on it, or grass or animals around it. It's like, I always believed that there is something, you know, that those mountains, they have a soul. You reach the bottom and you kind of come back to reality, and you get all the pleasure, all the emotions like coming back to your head. It's like almost as if you wake up from the most intense dream, you know, you realize what you've been doing, and it's like an explosion inside you. If you wouldn't have these moments, I guess it would be really easy sometimes to stop doing that and to start to listen to the people telling you it's dangerous sport, and like to listen to the factors of risk and what it means in real life. But like these moments are priceless, I think. Yeah, sometimes everything goes well. Like for example here, it's a great trip. It's amazing. You know, like we're on the right place at the right time, but sometimes there's these days where things don't work at all. But it could also be as tricky as being up there, you know, have the best day of your life, and suddenly the whole face breaks. And that's basically what happened to me last year, and I think it happened as bad as it could happen, I think. Like I got into this avalanche where basically the whole face fractured, and I got dragged like for more than 2 kilometers. And that kind of thing in freeriding doesn't happen to you twice. That I survived that, and I'm really happy that I got that, because I got the chance to really think everything through again, you know, like you cannot get any better lesson that gets so close to death, come out of it and like being in one piece and think about what you're doing. So the season was over. I basically had like maybe 8 months to think, you know, I of course told myself sometimes like, okay, maybe it's stupid, like let's analyze what I'm doing, like do I need to stop? But you know, the moment I got back to my room in the hospital, you know, so basically a few hours after the whole accident happened, I started looking up at the peaks, and they were like full of snow, and the first thing I would do was, you know, I was looking at lines, you know, I was looking at those peaks and seeing lines in there, and I felt like right away if I could go back there, I would go there. And you know, that really rang a bell in my head, and I really got the chance to realize how much I love it. It's not just a hobby, it's like, it's my life, you know. It was the clearest message you could get. Life is made to be lived, you know, I think.
something spiritual about this whole area. I mean, just the beauty of the whole place, of the village, the lagoon, the wave, the people are so nice. It's just the whole feeling of this place makes it very special.
For Tom and Fergal, I guess it's like something that they've seen since they were kids in magazines.
Coming to Tahiti's been, I suppose, a dream of mine since I was really young. Just seeing videos and seeing all the magazines, and then knowing Mickey, he's been coming here for years as well, and he's always said about coming out here, and it just never really happened the last 2 or 3 years. I've always said I was going to come.
I haven't really seriously been thinking about it until the last couple of years, because ability-wise, yeah, I just didn't think I was on that level, and still don't know if I am, but gonna obviously give it a try.
Yeah, then this really good swell is supposed to be coming, so Mick made the call. And
Mickey was saying maybe the biggest swell for a good year or so, a couple of years. All these kind of calls were coming out, so.
Tom was in Indo, I was at home, and Mick was in Cornwall, and we just made the call to go.
We all turned up about on the same day somehow, and yeah, well, I wouldn't want to be here with anyone else, because they're kind of the guys that I want to be in that kind of surf with.
If I get to catch a good wave here in Tahiti, it'll mean a lot, because a lot of years just at home practicing and learning, like trying to get some skills and heavy slabs, and then Tahiti is probably the pinnacle of that.
To get one would be, yeah, just be an absolute dream. Would be amazing. Make everything sort of come together really for me.
What I found was very interesting with Teahupoo is that it seems to have what we call here mana. It's nearly Teahupoo that has chosen them, and not the surfer that has chosen the wave.
difficult when you wake up in the morning, you just want to go out shopping with your brother, and you walk down the street, you can't take 10 steps without 4 people wanting to have their picture taken and tell you complete and utter nonsense that you're not going to care about. And the thing that gets me more than anything is they know more about me than I know about myself. I haven't got a clue who they are. I find it really, I find it quite terrifying, to be honest. You know, like, I don't understand why people would want to work so hard at something to get to a point where they become someone's idol, and you know, you kind of just lose yourself in what other people want you to be.
We consider ourselves like a real punk rock band. Our integrity is probably like one of the most important things about the band to each and every one of us. Is we do what we want and the way we want to do it, and the message that we want to convey to people is that, you know, don't settle for mediocrity and all this poppy crap and music that doesn't really have a message at all. And it's just bands singing about girls or what they had for dinner last night and things like that, you know. So it's just important for us to, you know, get off the stage, get down in the crowd and just play in people's faces and show a bit of heart, really, because there aren't many bands on this tour, aren't many bands full stop in the world that play with and show real heart, especially in like the mainstream. So we're just trying to remind people that the music to us is about the energy and the passion at the end of the day, and if you haven't got that, you might as well go home.
I think even since day one, we've just stayed the same, especially live. Like, we still do the same now on Warped Tour in 2009, 4 years after like our first show in the Horn or somewhere in St Albans. You know, we play in the crowd, we get in people's faces. I'm normally the one left standing on the stage, like doing my own thing. So I think, like, in terms of how the band is like live and music we still create, we've pretty much kept to our roots, I think. And obviously the only thing that's changed now is more people know who we are, but we're still kind of one of those bands that people don't know much about us until they see us, and then they're like hooked instantly from our live show, I think.
I think integrity is definitely important when it comes to our band. We don't hold back on what we say. We say a lot of things, like, and you know, we get judged for a lot of things we say, a lot of things we do, but we never back down, and never been about compromise. We just try and push the limits of what we can do with our music, and having peers like musicians who we look up to come up to us every day and tell us to our face how much, like, you know, they enjoy the record, how much they enjoy the live show. That means more to us than selling like 1 million albums.
To me, it's always been about art. It's always been about the art of creating something that can change somebody's life, and then also like the artistry behind the performance. And that performance was literally about destroying ourselves and giving anybody like that came to see us feeling something like profound, like not like they'd just seen history or anything, but that they'd just watched somebody so angry that could literally like just tear himself apart.
The thing about Gallows is we tend to put so much energy and so much of ourselves into our music.
We always said that we'd do this band as long as our bodies could take the live performance. It's like we're one of the most energetic bands on the planet. I reckon you could put our stage show up against any other band on the planet and we'd piss all over them, because we all put absolutely everything we've got into our performance.
I'm not always happy to play, but I still would like to think that I literally pour every ounce of myself into that, you know? Just because those new people there, like, whether it's 11:15 in the morning or 2 a.m, you know, in the middle of the night, like, there might be people there that haven't seen us before and don't understand what we're about and why we are still a band. I've had several nervous breakdowns in this band, like 2 real, like, monumental ones. I had one in Sheffield, of all places, and I had one in Japan in Nagoya, I think. And the one in Nagoya, I tried to throw both my brothers out of a taxi on the way home, which was like that was about as bad, as rough as life in our band got. And I tried to quit the band then, got talked around, you know.
Me and my brother are now closer than we've ever been before. But it's got to a point where, realistically, I'm struggling to wake up in the morning, get on stage for that 30 minutes and watch my brother try and kill himself to get out of this band.
Alright, who's the clever kid that's flying beer? Which one? Who was it? Which one of y'all? Was it you? Come here, so I can break your fucking nose. I'll tell you what, right, we've gone 5 fucking weeks without having a fight. And then we had one last night, and now people are throwing fucking beer at me. Well, you know what? You can all get fucked, okay?
I've been in the band for 3 years now. Since 2006 I joined the band. And we've somehow managed to become one of the biggest bands in the UK, yet at the same time no one has a fucking clue who we are. Which is really strange if you think about it, you know, like we've just released our 2nd album, which came out in May, and that album in 2 months has already sold half of what the last album sold in 3 years. And right now we're just trying to make it to the end of this year without splitting up.
Gallows to me has been an obsession for the past 4 years because of the nature of the band. I've always had that hobby, that interest of playing music. But I've lived my life with like several obsessions, you know. I'm a painter and a tattooer as well as being a musician. The problem with the musician thing is that that's always been a secondary to me than the painting and the tattooing.
His passion's not here. You know, his problem is he's a really, really good frontman, just doesn't want to do it. So he's accidentally fallen into something that he's amazing at, that he just doesn't want to do. Which is kind of a pain in the ass for the rest of us, because as far as I'm concerned, all of us love what we do. You know, we all join this band to be musicians, to kind of roll forward, to try and make a difference.
Eventually I'm gonna have to walk away from it, because it doesn't make me happy. It's just, it was an obsession, you know, it was just about doing something, trying to create something completely different to everything that was happening in like the state of music today. In my mind, this band should have been over a long time ago, you know. To me, this has always been about art, you know, like playing music was not just getting on stage and spitting at people and starting fights. It was about getting a point across, and that is the most, it was performance art in its way. Playing a show, to me, is performing, you know, and what I wanted to say was that, like, you know, I wanted to be an example, and I wanted to show that anybody can do what we've done. All you have to have is some patience and some fucking passion in what you're doing, and as long as you have those 2 things, you'll get what you deserve, you know. And I think, you know, in essence, we were getting what we deserved. Like, if you're to talk to the other boys, I imagine they'd like to see this band last in another 10 years.
I don't know how long Gallows has got left, to be honest.
After the first few days, we lucked into a couple of really solid, heavy West, kind of 8-10 foot days, and it was just everything we could have asked for, really. And then after we'd had those couple of mega days, there's rumours of an even bigger swell they're supposed to be hitting.
The day started with us getting up about 4 a.m, getting ready, stressing out because the swells is coming.
The sun came up and we went over and checked it.
And within about 2 minutes, I think 20 guys came out behind us, and it's like all like top pros and top guys who'd come for the big swell, thinking it was arriving kind of thing. There wasn't very many waves coming. Then Tom got this little wave, and I was like, wicked, at least he's got one.
Little barrel, and was happy. Little warm-up wave, and thought maybe there might be a couple more sets coming in.
Everyone was trying to get this mystic little set that was meant to be coming, and people were saying 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and everyone was just still going in the lineup, getting busier and busier. And all these cameras were ready, and it was just a weird scenario. It was just kind of a joke, and we were just sitting there going, what is going on?
So weird to see how the atmosphere of the place changed as that anticipation and all those egos kind of came into one small place. It was like this circus full of like circus freaks like performing for cameras, like just felt totally out of place, and it's just like the complete opposite of what we thrive on. Just pushing ourselves and exploration, the adventure. We like the isolation, we like the hostility of winter. That's what we're passionate about, being amongst the elements, being able to do things on our own terms, and we don't do it for an audience or to please anybody. That's what motivates us, and it was interesting to see the kind of other side of surfing that's not quite so pretty from our point of view anyway.
A lot of the reason why we go away in the summer is because the waves that we're after in Ireland aren't there anymore. Like, it's summer flatness, you know, it's just not any swells. So we've come to the southern hemisphere to track up and down swells, and just work on what we need to improve for next winter when we go back home to Ireland, and like kind of keep leading on where we finished off at the end of this winter. Surfing the waves we've already been surfing better, and then waves that we've been keeping our eyes on for like the whole winter and the last couple of winters that we know are there, but just need the right conditions, and then need the right skill, need the right training to actually attack them. But that's just kind of naturally what we're trying to do, is get ready to surf waves that have never been surfed before in Ireland.
What I like about freeriding community is that it's generally older people that have been riding for years and years, that don't necessarily have anything to prove anymore, and that are there for their passion. And what I like about it is that, you know, there's no pretending, because you know, everybody is there for what they like, and everybody shares the same passion, and it gives us such good moments, and it's usually really natural, and it's really nice to hang out with that kind of people. After my career, I know that I'm still gonna live in the mountains, or if not, I'm gonna live at the beach somewhere where there's good surf, and like where I can really experience this other really powerful environment, which is the sea. My life is driven around these values, I think.
Like if Gallows was to end, like it doesn't mean it's the end of, you know, me being involved in music. Like I love music. I'm always going to love music.
The band definitely has to have an end, because a band like us has to have an end. It can't just, if you keep going and you keep playing, it just gets so watered down that you literally become a parody of yourself, and you fall into obscurity, you know, and it's nobody's fault but your own.
Even when the band ends, I still want to do something related to music, just for the simple reason it's the only thing I've known for the past 5 years. It's the only thing I think I'm any good at.
It's got to a point now with this band where I've done all I can artistically. I get very little from music now, apart from fucking concussion and bruises, you know. I get very little out of it. I've said everything I had to say, and now I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna go and do what every human being should do, which is just try and be fucking happy. You know, I'm gonna go back and just spend my days riding my bike and rowing boats, you know, like hanging out with my friends and my nights painting, and that'll be it. Like that to me is like, that simple life is rock and roll.
Oh